Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a Happy Nutella. Super awesome. It's got the little lid with the little grooves like the real ones, and nice little shape that kind of has the in towards the lid and gets fatter as it gets to the bottom, just like the real ones. And then what I thought makes this super awesome is that I added the word Nutella, and as close to the lettering as I could of the actual Nutella jars. It's not exact, of course, because we're dealing with rubber bands, but I'm pretty stoked about it, especially because it did take me several tries to get that all exactly the way I wanted and spaced well enough so that you could see it and all that good stuff. So, yay! So cool! Very awesome. And then it is a little band heavy, so for the white, it was 358 white, the brown was 246, and then if you want to do the word, it's 3 black, and then there's around 20 red in there. You don't have to add the word to it. You can skip it when we go around, when we do those parts. It is added to the loom as we go, so, but it's just avoid those if you don't want to have the word on there. But I think it's super cute this way. So awesome. And we'll get started. First you'll have your eyes. I'm going to use 9mm pony beads, but you can use wrap bands. So 2 bands, whatever color you want your eye to be, on the hook, wrapped around once into a figure 8. Grab all 4 bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through 2 white bands for the center. And then you'll want 2 of these for your eyes, if you're going to do wrap bands. Then you have your cheeks, just 1 band, whatever color you want the cheek to be, on the hook, wrapped around into that figure 8. Grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through 2 white bands. Like that. So you want those ready for when we get there. And we have our loom, wrong end towards us, and we're going to start in the center, so let's look at an extra band. Start in the center, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right around the 7th pin up from the center, we're going to do a starburst. So from the center pin, we'll go out to the 6 pins around with 2, or double banded, everything's double banded. So we're starting at the cap and working our way down. So starting anywhere, just go to the 6 pins around. Like that. Center cap band, 2 bands wrapped around 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. Then you take your hook, go in through the center, grab those top 2 bands wherever they are, pull them up and back towards themselves. Then you'll do that all the way around. Just grab the next 2 down, pull them back. Like that. Then we'll do a row all the way around, 2 bands. Like that. Flip the bottom 4. Push down. Now we want to increase everything. So how we're going to do that, so start over on this side. I'll grab the bands on this pin. I'm going to pull them down, grab the top 2 and pull them back. There's no crossing of these bands here. So you can see it should look like this. Then up here I can just pick up the top 2 bands and pull them up. No crossing again. I'm going to come over to the other side. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like if you do it the wrong way. If I pick up these top 2 and pull them up, they cross right there, and that's what I don't want. So that's why some pins I pick up 2, or sometimes pins I have to pick up all 4, move them up, and then move the top 2 back down. And this lower one, I can pick up the top 2, bring them down. Then for these center pins, pick up the top 2, See which side it's coming from. This is coming from the left, so I'm going to take them over to the left and the next pin down. Same thing over here. Coming from the right, so they'll go over to the right. And do that same thing on the top center. Grab the top two, coming from the left, so they'll go to the left. And the other ones are coming from the right, so they'll go over to the right. Like that. So now we're on 12 pins, and we're going to do a row around, 2 bands. Like that. Then you flip the bottom 2 on every pin. Push down. So this next row, we're going to add the little grooves on our lid. And we're going to do that by taking a band, putting on our hook, wrapping it around once, and then we pull through 2 bands. So it's like this. And that's what goes on the loom. So what I'm going to do is just put a bunch on my hook, wrapping them around, sliding them up. And then I'll go around putting the bands on, sliding one of them down, and then putting it on my loom. Just keep going all the way around. I don't think this design is super complicated, it's just that it does get big, so we do a lot of laying of bands and looming. It'll probably take a little while to complete the whole thing, but it's super cute, so. Alright, so like that. Wrap bands in the center of all of them. Then you go around and flip the bottom 4. Like that. Push your bands down. Now we're going to do 2 rows all the way around, and on each row you're going to take your hook, you'll find those wrap bands that we put on there, stick your hook through there, and then pull 2 bands through that you're putting on the pins. And you do that all the way around, and we have 2 rows to do like that. Find your wrap band, pull it through, You could also pull them back onto the pin and then put your bands on and pull them back off, and whatever way works for you to do it. This one's pretty quick, I think. I really wanted to try and make this unique because I know everybody wanted one. And I do recognize that there are a couple people out there who have made, turned my relish jar into a Nutella jar by changing the colors, which is cool, but I try not to just do color changes for my designs because nobody wants to loom the same thing with just a color change usually. I'm happy with how this one turned out. Actually, I'm super stoked because you have no idea. I think I made like 3 or 4 jars trying to get the lettering right. It's a lot of bands. So like that. Then you'll flip the bottom 4. Push down, and then we'll do that second row all the way around, pulling through our wrap bands one more time. Sadly, my children are not very big fans of Nutella. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because I think we tried introducing it as like a chocolatey peanut butter, which is not quite right, and telling them what it is for taste wise, but I think they assumed like it'd just be all chocolatey tasting or more like peanut butter, so it confused them. I mean, I really don't know, because I mean this stuff's pretty delicious, so I can't see why confusing them would make them not want it, but especially because they like to eat almost anything that's sweeter or involves chocolate. So we don't have it around the house a whole lot, because otherwise I or my husband are the only ones that eat it with things, and I probably don't need a whole jar of Nutella for myself, so every once in a while I'll get little kind of single serve packets of it for keeping around, which is really the way to go with things. Single servings packages, totally the best idea ever, because then you can really keep an eye on what you're eating and how much, and it's hard. Too many good things out there. So there's our second row all the way around. Flip the bottom 4 again. Like that. So now what we're going to do is puff all of these with brown, so we go into that next color. So you want your brown, and we do the puffing by taking 2 bands, then taking your hook, going through the bands that are on the pin, hooking those 2 brown bands, pull them up through, put both ends on your hook, pull the white bands off the pin, and then put the brown ones back on, that same one. So through the bands, hook the brown ones, pull them up, both ends on, pull it off, put the ones on your hook back on the pin. And you do that all the way around. Because I am unfortunately one of those people who, as I got older, my metabolism slowed down, and having 4 children and all those wonderful things, I now have to watch more what I eat, which is no fun at all. Because we have so many delicious things, and I love to bake, and I usually go crazy at Christmas time, baking tons of different kinds of cookies and sweet treats, and because I just love the act of it and the act of decorating them. But now we have to we give away a lot more of them than we used to keep, which is good too, but they're so delicious. Alright, all of them are puffed. I'm going to unstick the middle here. Like that. A little more. Push them down. So now we're going to do a row all the way around, 2 bands. I actually ran out of brown bands, so I had to run over to Walmart and get some Wonder Loom bands in brown, which are actually just rainbow loom bands marketed under a different name, if you didn't know that. They're more expensive though. So like that. But Walmart is open 24 hours, so which works well for me as I work at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. So I can always go get my loom bands if I need some more. I was just glad they have some. I thought I had another package in my storage, but I apparently did not. I need to organize that stuff better. Okay, so now we're going to increase. So we're going to increase first the 3rd pin right here. So we're going to do that by taking and moving back the first 2 pins. I'm going to pick these up, move them back, pick these up, move them back. And then up here, we need to pick these up as well, move them back. Then you can grab the top 2 and bring them back. Let's just try the top 2. I hooked some random band. Hopefully you're not important. Top 2, and bring them back to the pin that they were on. And it looks like it was important. Un momento. There we go. Don't want any boo-boos so early. So those are up. Then we go to this last pin on the top. We can grab the top 2 and pull them up. Then come over to the other side, and we're going to move these first 3 pins up a pin. So I'm going to grab these, pull them up, grab these, pull them up, and this one again, pull it up. Then go in and take the top 2 bands from that 3rd one we moved up and bring them back down to the empty pin. And then come all the way back down to the beginning, grab all 4, pull them down a pin, grab the top 2, and bring them back up. Like that. So now we're on 16 pins total, 8 pins on each side. So we're going to do 2 rows all the way around with the brown. Good thing Michael's or Joann's aren't open 24 hours. I'd probably be bankrupt. Or at least have a little bit of explaining to do. I can go there and always find stuff that excites me or that I want to create with. So like that, roll all the way around. So you're either going to have to flip the bottom 4 or the bottom 2. So here's 4, 4, 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, and 2. Other side, 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, 2, 4, and 4. Push those down. We'll do a second row all the way around. And I love bright colors. I had to go to Joann's for something the other day, and I was walking down and I saw that they had it was macrame cord, which they don't normally have, and it was in these really bright colors. I'm looking at it and like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to buy it, but it's so expensive. It's like $8, $9 for however many yards. But then I talked myself out of it because they didn't have every color of the rainbow, so I was like, okay, well, we'll just wait. We'll look online for a better deal. It's like this. Flip the bottom 4. Macrame cording is usually hard to find. The only place that usually has it most of the time is Hobby Lobby, but I don't have a Hobby Lobby that's near me. The closest one is probably about 2 hours away, so that's a little bit of a drive to go to. And they aren't open on Sundays because it's kind of a religious-based company, so if I ever want to go down there on the weekends, I have to make sure it's a Saturday, and it seems like my Saturdays are always busy, and so it's definitely a conundrum. I know I can order online, but I like to touch things and look at them and inspect them before I buy them. So like that was our second row all the way around. So now we're going to go and we're going to start going into the white label part. I can move the brown out of the way. So get the white back. And we're going to puff all of these with white. So just like we did before when we switched from the white to the brown, just put your hook in, grab 2 white bands, pull them up through, both ends on the hook, and then pull the brown off and put the white back on. And do that all the way around. I actually realized the other day too, with the macrame stuff, I've been crafting for so long that I was crafting before there was an internet and before there were tutorials on everything. And the way that I learned how to do macrame stuff is mostly from my mom and my aunt, who both would have big wooden dowels attached to the wall, and then they'd have the big long cords hanging down, and they'd do all the knotting and add the wooden beads, and they'd make all the crazy wall hangings, and then I'd do a few of those, or I did quite a few of those when I was younger, and then as I got a little bit older and was in like school, middle school, high school, then we'd start doing them with my friends, making bracelets. And I remember making a macrame purse, and I don't know why, but I made it out of twine. Maybe that was the only thing in the art room at the time or something, but it was so itchy. But I was so proud of that thing. I still have it. I have to find it. It's in a tote somewhere, itching things away, but I was just like, I remember how to make all these knots, and it's just crazy that crazy and kind of sad, because I learned a lot of my crafting techniques from family and friends, and interaction, and then not today, to get things out to the world, or so that everybody knows, because it's easier and cheaper generally than buying a book, or we have tutorials like what I do, so it'd be pretty hard for me to visit everybody's house and to show them how to make it one of these, but individual stuff like this, I'd say it's cool for tutorials, but like some of the more general things, I would love to see somebody teach crochet to their kids. Alright, so now we're going to do a row all the way around in the white. And I feel like super old when I thought about that too. So I was like, yep, I was around before YouTube, before really the internet. It wasn't really popular until I was probably 15, 16, right around in there is when there used to be, or it was probably a luxury to have a computer in your home at that point, but it's like that. Flip the bottom 4 all the way around. I guess I was just lucky that at the time my mom was dating someone who liked having all the new technology stuff, and so when computers were kind of more widely spread out and it wasn't just the DOS stuff, then we got one. And back to the days of Yahoo Chat, and before it was horrible, and it's very so long ago. So like that. Alright, so now here's where we start adding the lettering. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my loom sideways. So we're going to start by adding black bands and some red bands. So you want to have those ready. So we're going to add some cap bands first. We're going to add a black one first. Put the black band on your hook, wrap it around so it's doubled. Hold it in your hand, and then on this second pin down on the side away from you, make sure that the front end of the loom is to the left and the wrong end is to your right. That second pin down, I'm going to stick my hook through, my band's on my pin, grab that black band, pull it up through, up over the top of the pin, pull it down, and then bring that back up and over. So like that, like we're putting on a mouth band. And then we're actually going to, just to kind of make it easier as we go around, this next part we're going to take a black band, pull 2 white bands through the center. It's just loose, and that's going to go right here. Like that. Then do the same thing again. Black band, pull 2 white bands through the center. That goes to the next spot. And just make sure when we loom that none of those are over the top, that they stay in the center. Once we do a row, then we're good. Next spot right here is going to be a red band pulling through 2 white bands. So that'll go on the end. Like that. Then we'll have another red band, 2 white pulled through. Then just 2 white bands. Then our next spot will be a red band with 2 white bands pulled through. then 2 white bands. Then we're going to do a red band, actually red band on your hook, double it, and you're going to want to put a cap band on this 3rd pin up. So pull it up, hook through, pull up the red band up over the top of the pin, pull it down, and then up over the top. And then that space that we need to fill in, pull through 2 white bands through a red band, and then again in the next spot, or wait, 2 white bands. Now in this spot it'll be a white bands pulled through a red band, and again. I'm going to turn my loom now, so the wrong end is towards me. So white band with red, and then once again we're going to put on a cap band on the 2nd pin up right here. Through, pull up that band up over the top, pull it down, up and over. Then we want a band with a red band on it. And then another red band. I'll explain this all a little bit before I go on as to what letter is what, so it kind of makes sense to you as we go around. Then the next spots are just 2 white bands. Like that. Okay, so making sure we have the exact same thing here. So I'm going to start over here at the black, so the 2nd spot down. This is our N. We have the cap band on this pin right here, and then the 2 parts come down for the N. Let me turn it. These 2 red bands are the U that comes down. Then there's a little space. Then we have our T. That's the band that comes down. And there's a little space. And then our E. So we have this band that comes all the way down. Then we have the band that's around this pin right here. And I see that I need to add a band, and so do you. Red band, double it on your hook, and then right here where we have where I'm talking about the E, you have the band that comes down, you have the band that's on the pin. This right here, lift that up and slide that down, double band. I thought it was scribbling on my little diagram. Sorry. So right there, long part of the E that comes down, cap band around the pin, double band in the next spot over, and then we have our L's right here on the side and the end. And as we come around to the other side, we have the A. So you have the cap band on this pin right here, and then you have the 2 bands that hang down. Alright, I swear we're good to go. So once you have that, and I know that that probably was pretty complicated, everything else is a lot easier because we just do a lot of pulling through, We only add a few more spots, so don't freak out. So now what you want to do is you want to flip over the bottom 4 all the way around, making sure that these don't get stuck off the side while you're looming and get loomed in. They need to be loose. So that's the bottom 4. I probably made this like 2 weeks ago, so I understood my directions perfectly then. How embarrassing. Like that. Good thing I checked. You're like, yeah, it is. If I would have got to the end and not had a piece, that wouldn't have made me happy. Alright. So now we have all that. Push everything down. So this next row is going to be our eye row. So you want your eyes. So for this row, we're basically just going to be pulling through all of our bands through what we have. So down here at the bottom, pull through 2 bands through your L. I'll just say the red band, might be confusing. Pull through 2 bands here, not a weird red one. 2 white. Pull through 2 bands here. And then the eyes will go in the next spot. Or eye, rather. So eye. And then 2 bands. Then your other eye. And pull through the black, pull through the black again, on the side, pull through the red, turn, pull through the red, and it'll be 2 bands, and pull through, and then 2 bands, and pull through, and you're going to want to pull through this little cap band here we put on late. And pull through again. So like that. We pulled through everything. We have the eyes on. So then you flip the bottom 4, again making sure not to catch any of your word bands. Like that. Push everything down. Then what we want to do is put a couple cap bands on. So you need some red again. And we need to put on the lower portion of the E right here, and then our T. So, come opposite side from your eyes. We have this lone band right here in the center. So what you want to do, take your band, double it, and we're going to put this band and stretch it across these two pins, flip it over like a wide mouth smile for the other Happy Foods. So just take your band doubled in your hand, hook through, pull it up over the top of the pin, pull it down till it's wrapped around, then go into the band that it's below and do the same thing. So go through there, grab that red band, pull it up through, pull it up over the top of the pin, and pull it down. And then I'm going to flip it up over the top of the pins, just like a big smile. Then I'm going to take the loose band, and that's going to come through the center of what we just put on, like that. And then we also need to come over to where we have our E right here. So we have this long band, and then we have this little short band. We need to put a cap band right here on this pin. So again, double, go in through, pull it up over the top of the pin, pull it down, then up over the top of the pin, like that. So long band here, there's that wrap band that's around these two rows of bands, and then we just put a cap band right there. So good, good. So now we need to do our cheek row, and this one, just pull your cheeks out, and then what we're going to do, so we'll start down here, again pull through, two bands here, here, and here. Then we're at the eyes. So this is where we're going to put the cheek. And then it'll be two bands. And the other cheek. And again, pull through. Pull through. Turn. Pull through. Turn. Pull through. And then just two bands. And then right where that T is, you pull through again. And then two bands. And then pull through on this long one. And then it's just two bands right here. And then pull through. So the next row should look like this. We just pulled through pretty much everything that we had before, just right here where that E was, we stopped with that little short band. So then you go ahead and flip the bottom four all the way around. push everything down. Now we're going to do the mouth. So black band or whatever color you want the mouth to be. You go to the front where the face is, and we're going to do the doubled band that's stretched between these two pins. So on the hook to double it, and go through, pull up, over the top, pull down, go on the next one over, pull up, over the top of the pin, pull down, and then up over the top. So we're going to do a row around again, pulling through. So pull through here, and turning, faces by me, row here. Just be careful, sometimes on the corners it looks like the bands are gone or they're for the next spot over, but this is the corner one. Again. Then we'll do 2 bands in the front here. Where the face is. And when we get to the black, pull through 2 bands. And then 2 bands. Turning. 2 bands. Turning. Two bands here on the corner. And just 2 bands normal. And pull through 2 bands through the T. And our E. Then 2 bands, and then pull through again. Like that. So it should look like this. Then we'll flip the bottom 4. Alright, push everything down. So now we need to add some more cap bands again. So you want a few more red ones. So we'll kind of go work around here. So here's our N. So if you turn the loom right here in these spots, this is our U. So we want a cap band on this pin right here. So take a band, double it. And you can also, I could have said this earlier, but just pick up the bands off the pin, slide down the band, and then put it back on. It's just sometimes when I was doing it for other times, there's a risk of the bands falling off. So we need a band right here. This is the bottom of the U. And we'll turn. And our next one, we have our T right here. So this one right here is going to get a cap band. So fourth one from the left. that. And we'll go down a little further, and we have our E. There's our long band for our E, and then you can see the little top portion, half square. So on this pin right here, third one from the right, we're going to do a cap band. Like that. And then we come around. So E, L, L. Come around. We have these two bands right here. That's our A. So the second pin up is going to get another cap band. Not that color though. A red. Alright. Like that. No more word, we're done. Okay. So I'm going to do a row all the way around in white. This time just lay them on normally all the way around. You don't have to pull through anything, or just don't get the bands stuck over the pins. Like that, white bands all the way around. Flip the bottom four. Like that. Push everything down. Now we are done with the white, and it is time to puff out the white into the brown. So just like we've done before, we're going to puff all of these into brown. Or into the Nutella. Ella, Ella, Ella. My little guy, Grayson, he's been totally into Frozen lately. Like, he wants to watch it all the time. And he's been singing all the songs. And it is just so stinking adorable because, like the other day we went to Target or Shopko, one of those two places. I think it was Target. And they had these little Frozen microphone sets where you could sing along to the Frozen songs. And he didn't want to sing along, but he's just listening to it, and he had this just like super happy little smirk on his face as he's listening to it, and it's just like so cute. He's been starting to sing a lot more in the car to songs on the radio. It's adorable. Of course, I think I said this before, just some of the songs he wants to sing to that show up on pop stations, coming from a 4-year-old's mouth are probably not the super most appropriate, but he doesn't understand right now, so, and he's happy doing it. He really gets a kick out of songs that are either they're repetitive in nature, or he really liked Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball song for a while. I think it was just he liked the chorus. It's just so cute. And then my daughter, she's starting to kind of get into doing that stuff, and just like all of a sudden randomly she'll just belt out part of a song that's very loud and very like, I'm singing too, don't forget about me. She's so cute. Alright, all puffed. You should actually be able to look at it now to kind of see how your wording went. Mine looks correct, so yours should be correct too. Push everything down. And then we want to do 2 rows all the way around in the brown. So I went to Target. It was Target. I went to Target the other day to get more sheets for the bed in our bedroom, and you know, I always end up the toy section when I go, or anywhere. Craft section, toy section, it all works out. Little kids' clothes. But I went there to get new sheets, and I had to do this because my husband has developed this, I'm not even sure when he does it or how he does it, but he must rub his feet on our sheet like this. This is our first row. Flip the bottom 4 all the way around. He rubs his feet until he makes a hole in my bedspread or in my sheet. And I'm just like, how do you do that? I mean, you'd have to sit there and like rub and rub and rub, and I'm like check your toenails, like are they like little daggers or something, or how do you do that? And he's like, I don't know. And I mean, he doesn't wake me up or anything like that with his weird feet restlessness. So it's just very odd. It's the second set of sheets to get because of that. But it's like you go wash the sheets and you're like, there's holes in it again. Awesome. So you have to make him sleep on the floor, but he probably rubbed holes in the carpet. So another row all the way around. And Grayson was listening to when we were talking about it, and Grayson's like, you can't sleep in my bed either. He's like, I like my sheets. It was the most adorable thing ever. And my husband's like, well, I'm too big for your bed anyways, my feet would hang off. He's like, yeah, probably right. But that's the weirdest thing ever. I don't know if anybody else ever has that, but it's weird. Like that. And they'll probably be a little mortified that I told people that, but I think it's kind of funny actually. Just might get a little expensive if this is a long-term race running in his sleep type thing. I mean, seriously, how do you do that? Like, if you think of like a pair of jeans or a shirt, how often you would have to like rub on that with your hand or your foot before you put a hole in it. That is weird. I told him I'm going to set up a video camera to watch him sleep so I can find out what he's doing. Probably be scary, turn into some scary Halloween type thing. Like be scratching at it with his hands or something. Or Alright, so now we're going to reduce. So the 4th pin up on the face side, you're going to pick up the top 2 bands. Wherever they're coming from, mine are coming from above, you're going to take them to the opposite pin. So above, they're going to go below. These other ones will go above them. So I'm going to go to the top pin here on the corner, Mine are coming from the left over here, so they're going to go over here to the right. And the other two are going to cross over to the left. And then we'll count down 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. Pick up the top 2 bands. Coming from below, so they're going to go above. Other 2 will go below. And then all the way down to this first pin, grab the top 2. They're coming from the left, so they're going to go to the right. And the other 2 will go to the left. Push all those down. And we're going to do a row all the way around, 2 bands. Some will have little kind of long stretches, and then others will be normal. So like here's 2 normal. And there'll be a long stretch here. Another long stretch. Luckily for me, my husband doesn't watch my tutorials, so I can say whatever I want. Just don't let anybody tell him. So like that. So when we flip, at this top one up here, it's going to have 2 bands there from the reducing, and then 4 bands from the row before. Next one has 4 bands, just so we're leaving 4 bands on the pin. These next 2 are going to have some reducing bands, and then the 4 from the row before. And once you pass these spots where you have the band over the pin, just pull that towards the center. Here's 4. And this one will have the 6. And again, the 6 with the 2 reducing bands and the 4 from the row. Pull that over. 4. 6. 6. 4 and 6, so like that. So now we want to move these closer. So we have this kind of the pointy ends here on these portions. We're just going to bring them in. So on this side, I'm going to bring in these 3 towards the center. Like that. Then on the other side, I'll bring the top 3 in towards the center. Just make sure you get all the bands back on the pin before you take your hook out. That. Push everything down. Tuck your ends in. And we're going to reduce again. So starting down here on this lower corner, pick up the top 2. Wherever they're coming from, they're going to go to the opposite corner. And the other 2 will go up. Go to the next pin up. And you're just going to do the same thing. Top 2, they're coming from above, so they'll go below. Other 2 will go above. Next pin up. Top 2, above, so they'll go below. And above. Then come over to the other side. On the top here. They're coming from below, so they'll go over to the right this time, because they're on the corner. And these 2 will come down. Next one down, top 2, coming from below, so they'll go above. Other 2 will go below. And one more, coming from below, so they'll go above and below. Like that. So now we're on 6 pins. They're all spaced out. We'll do a row all the way around. These are all long stretches, basically. Like that. So then on every pin, you're going to have 4 reducing bands to flip over, and then 4 from the row before. So I'd flip over kind of half and half, otherwise they get kind of tight on your hook. And then once you pass those 1 pins that don't have any bands on them, you can flip those over. Alright. Pull it up. Doo, doo, doo. So now starting on one of the far corner ends here, take your hook, go in through each one all the way around. And then take 2 bands, pull them through everything. Both ends on, make a slip knot. And before I pull it tight, I'm just kind of stretching out the bottom portion. And pull tight. Hide your tail. Like that. And so first, if you look at it, it's kind of more square in appearance right now. It's just because of how it's made on the loom. It is round. So I'm going to give it some good stretches before I adjust all of the other things that need to be adjusted. Alright. So first, because of the stretching that we do when we transition between colors, you want to go and adjust between the white label and the Nutella. You do that all the way around. Just put your hook in there, pull up your bands towards each other. Basically, we're just helping them meet each other in the center. So once you've done like on one side, then you flip it over and bring the other side towards that. Like that. Much better connection, you can tell from where we fixed it up here to where it is down here. So you want to do that for both sides. Alright, like that. And I noticed on the ends too, from where the looming was, on like the ends of the middles of our loom, if you go along this point and just kind of adjust these bands here, give them a little tug out, that'll help with the making it a rounder appearance as well. You can see there's a line. If you find that line, then just adjust around it and that'll fix that. So you also need to do the same thing up here with your lid, adjusting those together. that. You can also adjust down the lid portion right here and pull that down, but I kind of like mine being a little bit separated, but not too much. So that's why I just pull the brown. Okay, so now for the wording. The N for Nutella, I generally just grab or tuck in these till they're tight. For the portion up here where we have the goes across, if I take my hook, go in through, and mostly I just grab one of the bands, kind of make it super tight, and then the other one I'll use to adjust for the end portion. Because the long ones are only one band wide. I didn't want these to be doubled. There's a couple spots we can't avoid that, but so like that, just pulled it and adjusted it. The U is the same way, it's just opposite. Like, I like how the bottom one looks, so I'm not even going to mess with that one. But I'll make the top red portion a little tighter by pulling it in. Like that. The T, just going to tighten up the long one. You pull out the center band so it's stretched a little more. And again, you can hide part of the band. So it's just kind of a single lettering. Like that. The E, just going to adjust them so they're not all twisted. Because like this, we can't really make a single band and still have it on there while we loom. Like that. Then the L's, we'll come back to those. The A, just fix your top and your bottom how you want it to be. And then you're going to want 3 bands on my L's. I basically tied the bottom and gave it a little tiny bit of a bottom portion. So how I did that is right here. I went in with my hook, went across those bands, went through that bottom portion of the L, took a band, pulled it through, both ends on my hook, made a slip knot. Not super tight, but just tight enough, I guess, so it doesn't go loose. And then I'll take my hook, go in through somewhere else, come back up through that spot, grab the tail band from my red slip knot, and then I'll pull it down into the Nutella. And then you can adjust it make it a little bit looser so it's not so hidden. Kind of like that. And then do the same thing with the next one. Find that little spot. Go up through the L. Pull a band through. Both ends on. Make our slip knot. So L's, and then for the A, it's basically the same thing. I just came up through. This time I grabbed the side of it and the bottom portion of it. And I just grabbed one band, not both. Pull the band through. Do that slip knot. And then grab my tail, pull it in, and this time I kind of left the knot facing towards the front, so it gives it a little bit more of a help with the A appearance. But you can figure out lots of ways, different ways you can do this, or just not do it at all and just pull them tight, and that would probably be fine too. But like that, super awesome, I think. I hope that you agree. I know it took a while to make, so hopefully you definitely like it when you're all done. And you like the quirkiness of having the lettering on it. I think it turned out so awesome. But thanks you guys very much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you want to share this with me, you can do that on my Instagram, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook page, which is feelinspiffy or Crafting Fantastic. Don't forget to like and share my videos, that way people can find them. And always please subscribe to my channel so that you'll know when I come out with new things. And then of course there will be new things. I'm always creating something and doing my best to get as many tutorials out as possible. I'm just kind of confined to working in the evening, late nights, after all the children have gone to bed, and I spend many a nights, early mornings, working on stuff, so I'm trying to create as much as I can for you guys and for myself because I enjoy it, so hopefully you enjoy it as well. But I will have more for you soon. Happy looming!